Good afternoon. This is the Devar Torah on Parashat Acharei-Kedoshim, and many years, in other words, actually 12 out of every 19-year cycle, when it's not a leap year, these parshas are read together on the same Shabbat, and they can be understood on a number of levels. Acharei literally means after the death. Who are we talking about? The death of Aaron's two sons. They brought a fire that Hashem did not ask. They got too close to Hashem. I've discussed this in a previous Parsha, Shmini. They got too close to Hashem in a way that was not appropriate, and they died. Now, it also mentions that Kohanim should not become, the priest should not be overly familiar and come into the Mishkan and the Holy of Holies every day, but it should be limited to primarily Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, one of the holiest days if not the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, where Hashem judges us and where hopefully we'll get forgiven and give us a new start for the next year. The Parsha from there goes on to discuss a number of different issues, including where one can offer animals sacrifices. They can no longer be done outside of the Mishkan, Hashem's place, the gathering place with us, and that they were chayav, heavenly punishment, and also for coming animals that one is hunted, spilling the blood, pouring out their blood. Now, after that, Hashem goes into great detail about all the forbidden relationships that were participated in, sexual relationships that were participated in by both the Egyptians and the Canaanite nations to be coming to, and it spends most of the rest of the Parsha discussing that, because once one is elevated on Yom Kippur and is purified, to maintain purification and closeness to Hashem, one has to be pure in all of his or her deeds. That includes in intimate relationships. And that's why it has gone into great detail. And Hashem ends with Ani Hashem Elokechem, I am your God. Now, in coaching, it says, since I'm holy, God says you must be holy. So in other words, once we've reached the level of proper family structure, proper relationships between people, including between men and women, and he then goes into a lot of commandments. Some are Hashem, with between Adam Lamakom, Hashem, and people and God. A lot of them are relationships with your fellow human beings. Just to give you some examples, it talks about the laws of how long you can eat the meat of a korban sacrifice. It goes on to all kinds of different legal relationships, and how one must interact in terms of leaving corners of the field and other things so that the poor will have what to eat and during harvest, and deals with justice must be pure and straight. And also, one must keep the order of Hashem's will. That's why you can't crossbreed animals with fruits. Um, and it then talks about how everything must be focused on us having a pure relationship with Hashem. Even when we plant the fruit tree, the first 3 years, we're not allowed to produce it. We're not allowed to use it. Fourth year, we send to Hashem. And the fifth year is when we when we use it. It's also talking about respect for parents, sanctity of the Sabbath. Again, a whole mixture of um, a whole mixture of a whole mixture of various deeds, whole mixture of various deeds and interactions that cannot should not be done. And that includes things as keeping Sabbath, plus fair weights and measures and balances. And it then goes into the penalties of not keep them. So we must maintain the purity, get closer to Hashem. And it also talks about what will happen if one gets into the various immoral relationships, both punishment and how if the nation keeps it up, the land will spit him out. Israel is a very pure land. And that we shouldn't do certain types of going to certain types of practices, going to mediums, that kind of thing, to try to communicate with the dead. Again, this is all against what we do. Now, that's on the Parashat level. In other words, get the purity, maintain the purity, and then do all the things that make you Kodesh, because Hashem is Kodesh. Now, that's on the basic level. What I would like to discuss now is beyond the basic level. And what I'm going to give is, because everything in the Chumash, in the 5 books of Moses, can be taken on 4 levels. Parashat, which means basic understanding. Remez, things that are alluded to. Drash, which taken stuff from the Chumash and deriving other concepts. And finally, so the hidden. And what I'd like to do is show just so everything we're learning in this parsha is not just the laws of Yom Kippur and certain laws. On deeper level, it has many deeper meanings. I'm going to select only one from each of the 2 parshas. Again, if this was a full share, I'd be giving many more explanations, but I'd like to choose one just to show you the profound depth that's anywhere in the Chumash. Now, when one the Kohen was performing his services in the Mishkan, he had to do quite a number of things on a Yom Kippur service, and it starts. And one of those, it says, talk about when Aaron enters on Yom Kippur and the things he has to do. It says, one of the things, it seems pretty technical, Katena Bad Kodesh, Lavush, Makise, Pad Yehu, Al Basara, Vahatan Bad Yager, and Sifenis Pad Suyatsona, and Megad Kodesh Haim Rakitz Mayim, Vasu Lavasham. Now, translating that, when he's going in there, Aaron and then his successors, the Kohen Gadol, he must put on a sanctified white linen tunic. Linen bod means linen, and have linen pants on his body. He must girt himself with a linen sash and bind his head with a linen turban. Then goes on to say next verse that these are sacred vestments, and therefore before putting them on, he must immerse in the mikveh. Now, seems parship, technical, but there's many. When it says, you notice the number daled, it's what the Magalia Mukot, he was a rabbi from the 1500s in Krakow, a profound level. He was said to, it says right in his gravestone, which nobody else has been saved, I believe, ever had, that he learned directly with Eliyahu Hanavi. And he explains there's an allusion here. This Dalet times talking about linen. What's it connected to? The Dalet Imo, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. And he quotes us in a midrash, Rabba, that called Isha, snua, modest in dress and appearance and behavior, will bizoka, will merit banim a kohanim gedolim. And as it says in Tehillim, kol kavoda beis melech, Yeshevet Panimi, she should be Panimi, those within the eternal. What would she be? What she's okay to wear golden garments. So what are we talking about? He's talking about the Dalad, Badim, Bad, the four levels of clothing that the Kohen Gadol wore. And what's it coming to tell us? That any woman who is modest will have banim that will write about that to be Kohanim Gedolim. So this shows inherently how important the quality of sneas is, being snua. It's also obligatory in men in a different way, but it's not just the amount of fabric one wears, but it's also acting humble, acting modest, and it says even when somebody dresses doesn't mean they have to dress poorly. It means women have to dress in a way that it's attractive, but not attracting. And so this is just one small concept. He explains that these other pasukim are also dealing with the three avot, which is discussion for another time. Now that's in Parshas Kedoshim. Now, in Acharei Mos, we also say, now this wasn't actually the Magalia Mukad himself, but he is quoting a teaching drush of Rav Meir Katz. Those people named Katz were interestingly. It says in this parsha, "Hey Pamim," 5 times. It says, "Ani Hashem Elechem, I am Hashem, your God." Now, many things are alluded to, and here 5 times. Now, 5 has many significances, which he's explaining here. First of all, there are 5 levels of worlds. There's our physical world and spiritual content, Misa, and there's also Yetzirah, formation, Bria, Atzilut, and then Adam Kadmon, which is the highest one before sides the infinite. And also, why do you need 5 worlds? To receive the 5 different names, levels of soul. It's not just the soul of an individual, as we understand it's also doing the soul of each world. And there's 5 levels, and it says that each one of these, what are these 5 levels in the soul? Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chia, and Yechida, known as parts of theme. And what is the Nefesh? Is the Achronid Nefesh, lowest level, and that's from the Nephi will name Yud K Vav K. That's the second Hey. Ruach, the next level up. It's the Vav of the Nephi will name. The Neshama is the Hey Rishon of the name. Nechia is the Yud. Well, that's 4 levels, but we said there's 5 souls and 5 levels. And Yechidi is the Mekutzav Shel Yud. What does the Mekutzav Shel Yud mean? It means if you see it written in the Chumash, it's the tip of the Yud, the Torah, Sefer Torah. And it's explaining this represents also the 5 levels of Arich. This is the highest level of the Supreme Ab and Ima, Zera Anpin, and Nuk Keva, which is the female. And we explain you can take those also go into the different sferot of Hashem, and it explains also same comparison. So these are all universally tied concepts. The human beings are a microcosmic physical representation of higher things. And Nefesh is the Malkud, the lowest of the spheros. Ruach is Teferet. Neshama is Bina. The Chaya is Chachma. And Yechidi is the highest, and Yechidi is the highest level, represents the Keter, the highest level one can get. And if one looks at it, this is showing a fundamental concept that all these different concepts that we taught, and adding to what was said here by Rabbi Meir Katz, or explaining, elaborating on it, it shows that all the things we talk about, the spiritual worlds, our physical worlds, different levels in the Shema, are all part of a greater unity. We are part of a greater whole, and run by Hashem and operated by Hashem, and we should truly realize as we are going through the experience we have now It is all part of a greater divine plan, which will hopefully bring us soon to mention the Messianic era, the Kates, the final end. I'd like to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom and a good Shabbos.